Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to start in a few minutes. I got the Calvin Becerra special guest. Let's go. Today.
I'm here.
And we are coming at you from the Vidanta Resort in Puerto Vallarta, Nueva Vallarta. And I want to give you guys a little tour real quick before we get started. There's going to be some more people coming in, so welcome, welcome. We're going to have a little bit different today, kind of teach you guys how to make some money in real estate. We got some education in the slides for next week, but I figured take advantage of this beautiful scenery today and the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Calvin Becerra, who has been working hard on Zooms all day. So I figured he's probably found his Zoom stride, so to speak, and going to help us. Him and I have had a long, amazing career in real estate together, even though we haven't done the same things. I've specialized obviously in real estate and he's specialized in network marketing. Both been super successful, but we have joined up a lot. Beat him up. All right. Welcome everybody. Put a 777 in the chat if you're ready to go. We are here with Calvin Becerra at the Vidanta Resort in Nueva Vallarta. Just to give you guys a little bit of background of what we're going to hit today is we wanted to actually still, all right. Heather, Brandon, Stefan, appreciate you guys tuning in. Also tune in where you guys are coming, where you guys are tuning in from, where you guys are jumping in from. Well, obviously we're in Mexico right now. But Calvin and I wanted to actually just come to you guys today and tell you a little bit about where we were at, as we kind of came up in the industry. We've been in, I've been in real estate almost 20 years now. He's done real estate since I started 20 years ago. We did notaries together. We're going to go into that story real quick. I'm going to let Calvin actually tell you guys that story, just because, he's the best storyteller, period. Charlotte, North Carolina. All right. Argentina. Dallas, I love it. Bringing the fire. I love it. So anyway, we're going to go into kind of like a little bit of our like history and what we did together, kind of how we made it and the things that we did, both in a up economy when things, went really well and we were able to sell a lot. But then also we want to talk to you guys about what do you do in a down economy? What do you do when times get a little bit tighter? When things may be a little bit tougher, when a lot of people are saying, don't invest in this, don't do that. Calvin and I are going to talk a little bit about, we actually made the most amount of money in a down market. We both lost money, but we don't chalk up like, just put one investment in, lose it, and then, kind of hang it up. What we do is it's a learning lesson and we go, okay, that didn't work. Okay, now we know what's going to work. And so what we want to do is really focus on giving you guys the lessons that we learned so you don't have to make as many mistakes as we did, but then also maybe pivot a little bit faster, and do the things that we did, double down on those things, maybe that we did well, but you guys could even do better. So with that said, I want to introduce Calvin. I'm going to go on mute real quick. And if you want to just kind of tell everybody the story about how we got into business, how we did notaries together. Actually, Calvin got me in the business. He'll kind of tell you a little bit, but to preface it a little bit, we were both in lending together and we had huge changes at my company. We were both, number 1 and number 2 spots, young guns in the company nationwide, always set records. And Calvin moved on and actually created new platforms before I did, then grabbed me into those platforms later when the one that I went kind of didn't go as good. So I'll kind of let him talk about the story of, really interesting how we got into real estate, how we started our partnership many years ago, and kind of what we did from there.
Awesome. Yeah. So thanks, JT. So one of my okay, cool. So one of my most proud thing is that a lot of the friends that I went to college with are all extremely successful. Like our circle that we had, when we were younger, in our late teens and early 20s, all of us ended up being really, really successful. And I think that, when you surround yourself with positive people that want to go somewhere in life, you guys rub off on each other, and that's the reality of it. And I remember JT was one of the first guys I met when I was brand new in college. He had his dorm room right next to mine. And from that day, we became friends, and we've been friends, best of friends ever since, more of like brothers, so looking back now 20 years back and looking to where we are today, now we're both here at the Vedanta. We're still doing business together, which is amazing. We're combining forces and just inspiring each other's people together, which is awesome. That's cool. And I know JT's, he's also a JIFU affiliate, but he also made the decision to be an educator to help give back here, which is pretty cool, because these guys are pretty much, I just want you to know, like doing this for free. They don't have to. These are $1 million income earners. They make so much more money spending the hour of their time closing deals than they do here. So they're really giving back. So the reality is, what we should do as affiliates is promote, get as many people on here, because there are people that would pay thousands of dollars to be on a session with JT, right? One of the top brokers in the United States. He knows real estate like the back of his hands. He's put his 10,000 hours in, as I talked to you guys about business professionals. So just being able to like drive in the car with this guy on the way to work, to the office, spend the day with him, and then go back with him when he heads back home, still doing business. People would spend a fortune on that. And we get that literally every week, pretty much for free. Just think about it. If you got your 4, you pay no more, you get JT for free, and he's here. Obviously we want to show him his value by getting as many people as we can in here. So every week show up and learn as much as you can, because I've been when I was in real estate for the 5 years that I was involved in that in business, actually a little more than that, if you count notary, just being around the industry. I didn't have any of this type of exposure to someone like him. Like, we had to learn on our own. I'm just being honest. Like, we had to like go to the school of hard knocks and learn on our own. And we had to become the best where people wanted to be around us. Like, you guys get to be around them just through the process of association, right? They always say proximity is power, because I'm here at JIFU and you guys are here at JIFU. JT is here at JIFU, right? And he's giving, so you have access to this right now. Do you know how powerful this is? It's like the same access you have to Manny Soto, Christiana Hurt, right? Delana Bindra, like all these guys, right? That are feeding into you guys. Like, it's like charity work for these guys. I just want you guys to know that. So just understand that. So, okay. So let's talk about a little bit of my story. When I was in college, just trying to hustle as much as I could to just be able to have meals every day. Like, I didn't have a mom and dad giving me cash every single day. Neither did JT. I remember when I first met JT, he was working at a restaurant, and I was like, damn, I want to be a server. He had this cool truck that he had bought himself, and he had lowered it, put it on like airbag suspensions, and like, it was crazy. He had his own motorcycle, and he was just like, he was a hustler. That's why I wanted to be around him, because that was the same cloth that I was cut from. And we were finding anything we could to earn money when we were in college, still going to school, still getting good grades, still having big goals, playing sports and hanging out and doing all the things that young people should do. We had that hustle mentality. We had that hunger inside of us. But I remember my cousin one day said, Calvin, you should go get your notary license. And I was like, what's a notary? Like, oh, it's a person that witnesses signatures. Like, I pictured like Benjamin Franklin with his freaking feather pen, like, like signing, like, I didn't know what the heck it was. He's like, you're like a state official, and I was just like, all right, what he was like, it's easy. Just I'll pay for you to take the test. Just go to the class. He sent me to a class one day, and I sat through the class. And at the end of the class, they made you take a multiple choice test, and you had to get a 70% or above to pass. And I passed that day. And then I got this stamp in the mail with my name on it. That was official notary public. And I was like, now what do I do? And he's like, you can stamp documents and get paid $10 a signature. And I was like, who the hell wants me to like witness for signature? I didn't know, And he's like, no, you gotta just be a signing agent. And I learned signing agent in that course. Be a signing agent. You could sign loan documents for title companies and go to escrow companies, and you can make $150 per package of documents, and you could do that. So like, I remember I got business cards made, and I was like, all right, I want to be the first one in the phone book when phone books were a thing. People were to look up, right? And I made mine ANSA, Advantage Notary Signing Agency, so I could be at the very top when someone looked at notaries. I don't even know if anyone ever found me that way, but I had these little green business cards made. And I remember I started going to mortgage companies and like handing my cards out. And that was my first like real taste of like what real estate was. Cause I've never had anyone in my family ever own a home, like ever buy or sell houses. My mom never owned a house. We always rented, or we got evicted every single year. I'm just telling you the truth. Right. So like when I was going to these offices, I knew I had to just witness signatures and acknowledge and put the affidavit in there. And then I would turn in the docs. And I remember I was like, I would get paid $150. And I was like, I would look at
recording
these
in progress.
The loan officer was making 10 grand. 15 grand, 20 grand, 25 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand, just for someone signing these loans, just for this person signing the loan with this bank, the loan officer who wanted me to go get the document signed. That's like what makes or breaks his deal. I had to go get that done. And sometimes it was hard because these people were like, well, what is this? What is this fee? What's that fee? And I knew if they didn't sign the documents, I didn't get paid either. And I wanted my $150. So I started getting really good at closing people on their fees, explaining to them what this fee was, what that fee was. And I realized I was doing a lot of these guys' jobs for them. They were getting paid $15,000 to $20,000 to $40,000, and I was getting paid $150. I started to tell these guys, you know what? Like I'm doing a lot of work here. I'm not just like witnessing a signature. Like I'm doing a lot of work. We're gonna have to change this to $250. And they're like, cool, $250. And I remember eventually I'd be like, man, that one was even harder. You just got to pay 40 grand. We're gonna have to up. They're like, dude, charge me whatever you want. So I started making like $450 a signing from all these companies, and they would always call me. Why? Because I was the closer, right? I remember I would study the documents before I did the signing later that day. I'd have the documents all, I'd study them, I'd read them. I knew what every disclosure meant. I basically understood real estate just from studying that way. And I remember, I would just be the closer, and everyone would call me. There'd be loan officers fighting over me. No, I already called Calvin first, and it'd be crazy. So then I was like, what do I need to do? I can't be at 10 places at once, and I have the opportunity to make all this money. So then I remember thinking of my hardest working friends in school, and I was like, dude, JT, you should be a notary. I remember there was a couple other guys that said, you guys should be notaries. And I said, they said, what do you do? And I said, dude, I'm making $150 every signing. You can too. And they're like, $150, like literally JT's working all day, probably hoping to bring $100 home in tips or whatever it was, if that. And I said, dude, I swear 1 hour, you're making $150 and you can get paid for your miles when you drive. And I remember, so all of a sudden my friends got their licenses. And now when people needed me and I couldn't be there, I'm like, dude, JT's the next best thing. He's a closer too. And then JT would go sign the loan docs for $150 and I would charge $450. And I would make like, and I'd make like $300 now with my friend. So I'm out making $450. JT's out signing, I'm making $300 when he closes it. This guy's signing, I'm making $300 when he closes it. And I remember Casey, my girlfriend at the time, she did it. I was making money when she was closing it, and I just started a business. But we all understood the language of the business through real estate through these documents, right? When people are buying homes, selling homes, whatever it was, we were getting everything signed. We knew what quit claim deeds were, what trust deeds were. We knew everything. We probably knew more than the real estate people themselves, to tell you the truth. And then we were like, man, we're so good. Why don't we just we need to just be doing the loans now. We just need to be doing the loans. And then that's what we did. We got involved in the mortgage industry, the mortgage banking industry. And JT went and worked for a retail broker. And then I went and worked for a retail lender. I worked for a broker. And we just started learning the ins and outs of those companies. I remember JT was having me sign loan documents with his company, and I kept doing it. And then I went and worked for this broker, and I saw the power of like, man, not only am I getting the notary on this thing, but it's my loan too. So I'm signing the documents, and on the loan, I was making like 10, 15,000. And I'm just telling you, we're like 21, 22 years old doing this thing, and that's like, people are dreaming of that type of income, but the opportunities are everywhere for all of us, you guys, especially when it comes to real estate. That's where you can really print money and make a lot of money if you really focus on your craft. I mean, I'm just telling you the truth. Everybody and their mother is a real estate person, okay? But I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 of them don't close any deals. They don't even use it, right? They're waiting for their friend and family to sell a house, buy a house, refinance a house, and that's what they're saying they do, But the reality is, the other 1%ers or 10%ers are out there hustling, making it happen, learning the business, just like in network marketing. But I got involved in real estate and was and made a lot of money. And then I told JT, right? I told JT to come down, and JT got into the broker world with me, and we both were making 6 figures together, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then over $1 million in real estate in our early 20s. And I'm just telling you, I want JT to go into this because I want to tell him what I did. Okay, for me, I was young. I didn't know anything about investing. I didn't have parents telling me what to do. Like I just built a relationship with my dad because I didn't grow up with him when I went to college. He lived near where I went to school. So now I was like, now I can have a relationship with my dad. And he always gave me advice about saving money and doing this, but I never listened to him because I'm like, dude, like, who are you? Like, my mom tells me someone to listen, but my dad, today I listen to everything my dad says, by the way, because I've had a relationship with him for more than 20 years now, which is awesome. But I swear, I only bought real estate. I remember JT, he would watch me every weekend go buy a new home. He's like, you bought another one? I was buying like all the houses at the top of the market because I thought it would keep going up like a rocket ship, just like you guys do crypto, right? and you think it's going to keep going up and you keep holding it and then it just crashes and then we're crying, right? Or we're selling it at the bottom again. But I did that with real estate, and I would buy a house every single weekend. I bought like 7 or 8 houses. Remember, I put renters in them, and I'm thinking like, why isn't JT capitalizing on that? He's just like sitting there like saving his pennies and stuff because he knew what was gonna come. And the market crashed, you guys, in 2007. I'm not lying. My renters couldn't pay anymore. My investments dropped their value by more than half. I owed more than what I owed more than what it was worth. And I had to fold the cards. I had to fold everything and just let them go, and claim BK. I remember that. And that's when JT, he made a shift and his life changed. And I learned a lot from what JT did from that. So I take that as a learning experience. I don't take it as a loss because now I'm back, right? But I really learned a lot from watching what JT did with his moment of decision making, where he didn't go all in at the top of the market. He stacked his chips and then he went all in from there. And JT, you could talk about the crash of the economy, and we're kind of seeing that right now in this economy, and what you did back then, because what I watched JT do really made him a legend in the industry and really built his name in the business and really created a financial legacy for himself. So go ahead, talk about what you did.
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, it brings me back, Calvin talking about our origin stories and stuff. I remember that, being in on the retail side and thinking I was doing so good. And he's like, no, like, you don't even understand. Like, we're still doing signings. We're still hustling. Like, you guys don't even know, like, we were 7 days a week, like at work by 7:30, 8 o'clock. And we wouldn't leave work until probably like 11 o'clock at night, maybe even later sometimes. It was nuts. Like even on the weekends, we'd go out like 1 or 2 nights. And then we were like right back to work. So it was kind of crazy, like getting back, to the beginnings and knowing like where we came from. And he's absolutely right. Like, everybody in this day and age, with the amount of education you have on the JIFU platforms, I mean, just the hustlers that you have access to, or the people that have done it, lived it. I know, I got to spend time out here at the Vedanta with Calvin, with Brandon, with Manny, with some of the guys out here, and Mark, and just listening to them and, hearing them run their businesses, because we're out here for a full week. So, we're still running our businesses while we're vacationing. And what's really cool is we're hearing people that we're talking to outside spend thousands for the same vacation that we pretty much got for free for our taxes and our fees, right? Just being on the platform. And all that's kind of changed from when we were kids, right? You guys have access to all that. So, through all these things, I think like what we've done, or what I've done later in life, is the way I look at it is this, right? If you try 4 things, so let's say we have 4 houses, and you're going to flip them, buy them, hold them, sell them, whatever it is. So he calls it the rule of 4. Like, I think it was 4 and you're done. What's it called?
4 no more.
4 no more. Like his is 4 no more, right? So mine is like every 4, 1, you're going to hit a home run. 2, you're probably going to hit a double or base hit, double. And 1, you're going to absolutely strike out, right? So it's the law of averages in real estate. And it's basically 25% is going to go incredibly not the way you predicted, right? In real estate, if you own anything, you have tons of liability. We talked about that on previous sessions. It's not a reason to not buy real estate. For years after I got sued on a couple rentals, people that had rentals that basically didn't go according to plan. We bought them, got a great price. They moved in. They actually like didn't pay our rent, stuff like that. For years, I never bought another rental again. I'm like, oh, I got sued once. I'm never going to buy it again. I think it was like 4, 5, 6 years. I didn't buy a rental. And it's because I wasn't around the right people. And using the rule of 4, that was the one that was going to go bad. So let's get rid of that one, or offload it, sell it, flip it. And let's concentrate on the ones we're all going to make a killing out of. And you're always going to hit that home run. So after we kind of pivoted, in the last crash, I still own quite a bit of property with Calvin, but he owned quite a bit more than I did. And I think what we learned at that point was I was like first to act. I think what we knew was there was a correction coming. And right now people are paying high interest rates. You're paying high prices, right? And so there's another thing in that rule of 4 that it's called like finding the greater fool, okay? So you're always going to have a buyer for the house, or you're always going to have a buyer for something. But the more solid is, the more buyers you're going to have and the more it's going to get bid up, right? Well, when you go to that price and you start bidding things up so high, you kind of get the greater fool that A is tons of liquidity. Maybe they have a dozen homes and they're liquidating an estate and they can just afford to overbuy. And then you have the other side of that pendulum that people don't really have good money management. So they're stepping into the market at a high price. They want to buy something. Either way, you have to know that those people aren't buying at their best margin, right? So if you're buying for utility, buy for that utility and it's going to be solid. So we talked about the rentals that I bought recently, the one in Chino Hills, the one in Southern California. And I think that what we're trying to do right now is be patient, right? Stay consistent and make sure that you're doing the things that allow you to have the opportunity when you find it that you're successful. So you're buying within margin. You're finding the things that hey, I'm going to create a win-win. So right now, like even the rentals we have, we're not renting them out at the highest amount possible. We're renting them out just a little bit below, right? And then when the article comes out next week, right after we did that says, hey, rentals just took a price decrease for the first time in 3 years, we're seeing rentals come down. Well, we already priced a little bit lower than them. And then so we rented ours out. So now our renter feels like it's a good deal. We got them in, they are solid. And now we're not really dealing with the rest of the market because we, charge this crazy premium. So it's some of those ins and outs that you got to do when you're seeing what works. And then what you got to do, we talked about, last time I actually put a lot of this, this series with JIFU, this series with you guys have inspired, my team, my social media guys to put out, some of the basics of real estate on our social media, on our YouTubes. And through that, it's basically starting small. If you know your weight class and you're like, hey, I got a lot of disposable income. Instead of buying another Lambo or instead of buying another really expensive watch, diversify. Buy that one real estate portfolio. Get in the market a little bit. You don't necessarily need to be licensed, but you can be, and you can still understand it. Just like Calvin unlocked, he wasn't a loan signing agent. He got his notary license. He brought me into his notary company. We started to grow it more together organically. We didn't start out and create this huge, big, complicated mess. We kept it really simple. We kept it easy, and we led with the opportunity always. So that's what you want to do in any avenue of real estate, is lead with that opportunity. And just know right now, I've said it for a long time, the Airbnb market, Calvin and I were just talking before we got onto this call. And he said, what about multi-state? How are we looking in multi-state to be able to get in, $150, $125, something like that, to be able to, buy some doors. And I'm like, you know what? I like that if you have a solid management team. If you're ready to start hopping on planes and getting into the local markets to find out what the demographics are, to find out what schools are in the area, what developments, shopping centers, is Amazon or Tesla, are they relocating to the place? Are they going away from the place? All those things, I think when we were young, we didn't really see a benefit in it. But as you get older, you kind of start saying, hey, I'm going to stick to what I know, because you start playing with that rule of 4 and you go to things that you don't know. Yes, you can hit a home run, and your network is your net worth, and your proximity is your power. So if you're around the right people, money is going to attract more money. Success is going to leave clues. You're going to be able to start getting into a network like what we are right now in this JIFU family. And that's why I'm building the JIFU family with you. That's why when I'm at the Be Downtown, I'm talking about JIFU. We're jib-jabbing about real estate and talking about how we're going to grow it, but we're talking about the opportunity of travel. And I talked to the lady today with her family, and she's like, you know what? I don't care what anybody says. She bought a timeshare, and she's like, it's not an investment for me. It's me making sure that I can spend quality time with my family. And I'm like, perfect. I did the same thing. I just didn't spend $5,000 to get here or $10,000 to get here. I hopped in with, people that were setting it up, and I'm looking at our chat on how to redeem our next vacations. Right. So not only am I like, I'm bought into the Kool-Aid, right? But I'm like, okay, look, like I want to do the same things you're doing, but I still want to have time to give back and do the things like this. And I think that we've gotten to the point in our lives where if we can do it better, we can do it cheaper, we can do it a little bit more efficient, like, why not? Why not open that up? Why not scream it from the mountaintop? Why not have everybody in that and have it diversified as much as possible? So that's why we're excited to, really, get you guys into the ability to start making money with that and keep you on this track to be able to start, making offers on property, getting yourselves in the door, and, pulling the trigger on that first investment.
So I remember, good. So I just remember when the market crashed, I watched JT, this guy right here, flip like tons of properties, and I remember watching him thinking, dang, I want to do that. I want to do that. But I had to like rebuild my life again, rebuild my income again. I just started network marketing. And I remember it was like years you were doing it. He built this team of guys. He got some partners together. They put some money together and they just started getting all the best deals because they were in real estate. And when you get the best when you get the best deals, it's not just by having money in your bank account and having a couple of real estate agents. It's like actually being there, being involved in real estate, being an agent, being a lender, being something where like your circle are all the guys who get the deals. Because when you get the deals, you get first dibs on it. And I remember they just, JT at that time would just have deal after deal after deal. He started building relationships with probably people at banks, with the guys that he knew, with other agents, right? His circle started to get strong, and they started just buying and flipping properties at the bottom of that market. And I can already feel something of that coming again, right? Because I see over the last few months you've been flipping houses. I watched like Brandon and someone else flip a house like a month ago or something like that. And it was just like opportune time. You got money, someone needs to get rid of it, and now you come up with a huge profit base. But you did, how many houses did you flip? You remember?
It was probably in the hundreds.
Right.
And I managed the last, just through Zillow, thousands.
But the coolest part was when you started involving other people, because there are other people who like, you want to flip properties. I know there's people on here who are like, man, I wish I need to make that kind of money so I could start flipping properties. But like in your mind, you're probably thinking I need 100 grand or I need 50 grand. But there are ways to do it, because there are hard money lenders, which you'll probably learn eventually from JT. There's a way to have just a small amount percentage you can put down, or just to prove that you have in order to get the hard money loans. And then you need that certain amount to be able to do the fixes on the property, and then you need to figure out how to know the ARV when you're the after repair value after you're buying up property. But what JT did was he handled all that. That was the coolest part. It's who you know as well. He handled all that. He had the team. He just went out and found a group of friends who were willing to each give a little, and we all gave a little bit, and we all got shares in the pot once those houses flipped. So I think that's a big opportunity that people are going to have pretty soon, especially people like us, who are going to be able to have little chunks of money, but be able to know people like you, to be able to say, hey, I want to be one of those guys. When you have one of those flips, I got 20 grand, I got 25 grand, like give me a piece whenever you need it, or at least write my name down and know that I could secure that piece, So how did you do that? Because you did that with like a bunch of guys, and I saw you guys make a bunch of money.
Yeah, for sure. So it really is as simple as that. If you have a good group and you have people that, just remember that rule of 4, it's not a guarantee. So you'll have people say, hey, I want to preferred, they'll call it a waterfall, tier 1 investor, tier 2 investor, profit share. So just know this, is that if you're around the right group, that there's money to be made. And if the money that you're trying to do, it all is based on either A, the turn itself, or B, wherever you are in that deal flow, right? So really simple, what we did is that we set up like a really easy, simple deal flow, right? Is that once you can find the deals, you basically, the opportunity comes from the deal. So I always say whoever commands the deal commands whatever the opportunity is. And so what happens is, it's not the opportunity necessarily that you want to jump into every one, because some people will find a really thin one, right? And it'll say, hey, it appears to be really good, but when you actually know what it costs to sell it, it's not that good. So I'll give you a quick example. If you buy a house under $500,000, let's say, you want a gross $100,000 spread. And then people think like, wow, that's a lot of money, $100,000. But there's a lot that goes into that. You could be 10 to 25% on your repaired value. Something goes wrong. We had a flip right now. Obviously, the weather just got hot across the nation, definitely in Southern California. I had 3-4 properties. All the ACs went out, every single property. One Rule 4 again, remember? And this is the first time I did it with this. 1 wasn't even that bad. It was like a simple fix. 2 of them were like $500-600 a piece. 1 of them, complete system failure, 10 grand, right? That system could have cost me 20 grand. I had a guy pay 30 grand for a system that was comparable. I got it all said and done. It was like $6,700. Okay. So what happened was the devil's in the details. You want to make sure that whoever you're tying yourself in with those opportunities is transparent. They're building trust. They're not like their whole net worth isn't tied to one deal. And then you want to make sure that whatever it is in that rule of 4, you know that you're following and you're trying to get a little bit on each investment, or you're staying where the safe money's at. Because in Southern California, you can go into multi-million-dollar spec homes and you can, double your money. You can buy something that's 2 million and go to 4 million. You go to 4 million and go to 8 million. But if you're not used to playing in that realm, you could also lose big too. Because let's just say you have a $5 million house. Does a $10,000 price cut really make a difference? No, right? Can you buy probably a toilet seat in a $5 million house? Probably not. Like anything you do in that kind of value of a house is going to be really expensive. So what I always do first and foremost is, where is my money the safest? Where's your money going to be the safest? That's how I think about with our investors. From that point forward, you have a first, okay? So you either use a hard money or some sort of an institution. Just because your institution is the easiest way to borrow money, unless you have deep pockets that money's no object, right? But if money's no object with deep pockets, what do those people want? Most of the spread. They want most of the profit. So you pretty much want to find hard money people, which we're going to go through later in these trainings. But right now, what I'll tell everybody is not all of your opportunity is right now. Okay. If you're a big, platform, 50 million plus, 20 million plus, your basically job is to turn money, then you can do that. But what happens is, this market reminds me of the market, not really in 2008, but in more 2014, 2015. And 2014, 2015, there was about a 15-20% price correction. And in other markets, it was like 30%. And in other markets, it was like maybe 5%, right? But what happened was, where did everybody want to flip? Where were we flipping all of our fund properties? It was in all those volatile markets, right? Because we all wanted the money that was like, just falling off the trees, right? We didn't want the money that we were really working for it. Even though we did, we wanted the ones that we could go in, quick turn, and we know we could move it real quick. And so what happened was, those markets were a little bit susceptible, but we knew in the market corrections, we would ride those markets up again. So what we did is, we had first and second people, sometimes third. We called those gap investors, and those people provided, let's say, the rehabs or the cost to the carry of that property, went a little bit longer, because you listed that house and all of a sudden the market value started to come down a little bit. You got to hold those houses, right? Because I'll talk to people in real estate and they'll say real quick, they'll say, I never lose, right? I've never been sued. I don't know what it's like to lose $1 million, right? I personally am weary of those people, right? Mm-hmm. I like the people that are like, I know what it's like to lose. I've lost that $1 million. Like, I know now I need to do my due diligence. I want to ask you a few more questions. I want to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty of the program, just to see have you done this before? And those are the people that we work best with, because you were able to work with them and say, hey, you didn't really have to do anything. None of our investors were active investors in the properties. They were like, hey, here's a check. Some of them brought properties to us, and then they were paid on that side. And then other people brought money to us and they were paid on that side. So Calvin and I worked on a lot of the money side and then the opportunity side. So even, I've done one lately, his brother's done one lately. So they're like onesie, twosie, like off deals that when you're in the industry, you're picking up those deals and you're trying to find them as much as possible. But what happens is, the market is doing so good right now that anybody worth their weight can go in with paint and carpet or whatever it is, put it right back on the market and get 90% of the value of what it's worth. And there just isn't that spread. But there's a lot of people that don't want to do that. Let's say we talked about the probate ones. We're going to talk about a little bit more. Let's say that There's, 6 family members. None of them want to do anything. They're fighting over the proceeds. They just want someone to sell it. And so it hasn't been touched in 15, 20 years, maybe more. And now all of a sudden they just want a cash offer. That's where we come in with this opportunity. And that's where we're going to be putting a little small pool together with the people that are in these groups. So you can come in and we're just going to basically say, hey, here's the platform. Come in with 20,000, come in with 100,000. Here's your return on this one. It's transparent. It's easy. You're going to get that investment in. It's going to sit 3 to 6 months. You're going to get that principal back. You're going to get that return back. You can take it back or you can roll it into the next property. You know what I mean? Super simple.
Awesome. Real quick. So just I don't know that we're not going to be on here, all night, but the purpose of this obviously was to know mine and JT story, how JT's here, how I'm here, and how long we go back, how far we go back, and just like how he actually got involved in real estate. Like when you know the story, that's what tells you why he's at where he's at. Like when I share my story that of from the beginning to the end and why I'm here, he has that story too, right? We were grinders since we were young. We didn't start in real estate. We kind of, real estate kind of happened to us, and we learned our way into it, and then we took advantage of every opportunity we have, and we learned on our own. We learned from all of our experiences how to be successful. We really never had like any big mentors. We figured it out ourselves. We motivated each other, just like we are right now. We worked this close in an office, in the same office, all the way to making over $100,000 and then to millions of dollars. Every day we worked that close together, and he just kept going. He kept going. He became who he is today. So I think it's really cool to know people's stories, especially when it comes to real estate, but obviously how important your circle is. Because if you're going to want to invest or you want to get involved in real estate, wherever you live in the country, okay, make sure that if you want to get involved in something like real estate, keep some tight-knit real estate people around you, make them your friends, put them in your circle, leverage the fact that JT and he's mentoring you guys every single week. Give them the opportunity to learn from JT. Let them know that, hey, I'm close to these guys, and like when there's opportunity here, I'll let you guys know as well. But it's like when you start getting involved, obviously not just weekly on these calls, but actually when you get the opportunities to actually get real estate with us, then that's when it even gets stronger for you. Your life gets even better, and things start leveling up. But I look for opportunities from this point moving forward. I'm waiting for the next time JT makes a jump and he makes a move and repeats what he did. Then I'm waiting for that, and also I'm looking for opportunities as well to learn how important it is, maybe buying land, buying land, buying and holding properties, even buying, manufactured properties. Like I want to know what JT thinks about those things. And I'm sure that, the more we plug in, he can cover those things and give an opportunity for each and every call. But just like you guys are showing up every week to learn from JT, I want to learn from JT every single week. Like I said, we grew up together in this business. I watched what he's done. Now we're back together again, which is awesome. We're staying close now. But the same opportunities that are going to come across my plate are going to come across yours. So I'm just letting you know, it's all about proximity, and all of us are in proximity of each other as long as we're plugging in every week. So I appreciate the opportunity to jump on here with you guys tonight and have JT invite me and to learn a little bit about our story. So thanks, JT.
Heck yeah. Yeah. And that reminds me too, a couple of things too, is that, be patient, you're going to have we obviously bring a ton of energy, but that's why I'm, doing this with Calvin too, is because I need this as much as you guys need this. So we feed off each other. Right. And so if you're looking for opportunity, Calvin and I have said this so many times, is that there's so much money to be made out there. There's so much opportunity out there. And there's so many people that actually don't really know the way necessarily to make it happen. And that's where your need, your whys, our families, our wives, our kids, the next generation, it became a lot for both of us to make a lot of money over the years. And that was fun. And we had a blast doing it. But now it's that legacy wealth. And so why we're so excited now and we're keyed into each other's success is I've watched him completely do this the third, fourth time over, do it in days, in what it seems like hours, And so, I've repivoted my companies with the same amount because I'm like, man, if Calvin can do it at an international worldwide level, I can do it in Southern California. I can do it in California. And so that's where it's taking that into your own networks, plugging that in, We are both available. I'm available on all my socials. DM me, hit me anytime. Our YouTube is cracking. Like, we love every little subscriber. We're growing. We're chugging it on every week. It's my boy's Junior's birthday today, so everybody give him love on our IG, on his socials, with Prestige. He's the man behind putting all of our videos together and shooting content for us. And what we wanted to do for you guys is just basically continue to try to bring as much value as possible, not overwhelm you, keep you guys consistent, because that's the key. The key to success is making sure what Calvin touched on in this economy is absolutely right. I didn't see the media as prevalent as it is today, like since 2008, right? There's so many people trying to keep you either scared or not making the right decisions, or not stepping out and working for yourselves, not doing things like network marketing, not knowing, that if it's that easy that you invite more people into something that you think is good, and leveraging that network into other things as well. It's really that easy. That's how success gets going. And I've watched people do development, land deals, flips, buy holds. And one of the things that I think that Calvin and I are going to do in the next 10 years is buy and hold. Flipping super exciting. It leads to fun checks, and we're going to do that too. But I think what I want to do more is buy and hold with him, buy and hold with you guys, put groups together where we say, and I'm going to do this on the next training actually for you guys. I'm going to go find the co-marketing things that Calvin and I did in real estate together, because we both marketed a lot, and we found homes that were 250,000 in our area, and now those homes are 750,000, 950,000. And so if when I show this, hopefully Calvin will have some time to tune in next time. Yeah, it's eye-opening that you're sitting on $500,000 to $1 million if your renters have paid down those houses over 15 years. That you're sitting on millions of dollars per property. And him and I have owned dozens of properties. I personally have owned, dozens and dozens of properties. But throughout the years and the learning experiences, I've had to sell those properties. And I've kept a good amount of them, but I've also sold them. So what I'll say is real estate's always saved me. No matter what the situation has always been. Good old-fashioned real estate to the rescue, that compounding has taken over. So you're able to actually protect your wealth. So when we go through, I don't want people to do what I did necessarily either. Go up and do what Calvin did and say, hey, I bought a property every week, but then you had to sell them at some point, right? Let's buy one every quarter, but then you never have to sell it. You leverage that equity. You get yourself into a position where you say, hey, I can take 100 grand from that. I can maybe put 20, 25 into whatever I need, and then 70, 75 into the next property and buy the next one. That's where everybody's gotten a little bit more keen into today's market and leveraging. You didn't make the 100 grand. I mean, you did from your property, but you didn't have to go out and actually make that money. You just leveraged it. So right now, in some of the properties I'm buying right now, they're leveraging right now. They could go up, they could go down, but no matter what, time is going to take over. And they're going to be more valuable. And then what's going to happen is this time, I'm going to be ready to leverage those properties. And when the time is right, maybe I'll be liquid enough. Maybe Calvin will be ready. But either way, maybe the group will be ready. I'll be able to leverage that property and buy the next one. Leverage that property, buy the next one. So now I have a mentality that isn't scarce, right? It's very abundant. I know that if that property fits my box, then I'm in that next property. And you might get 3 or 4 in a row, and then we'll take those properties down. So I'm going to answer these questions real quick, and then I'm going to turn it back to Calvin. So tiny houses, super cool. But I'm not like a tiny house guy, and I'll tell you why. I live in a big house like Calvin does, right? And so I like the tiny houses for the ADUs. I like tiny houses to be able to do what I do best, which is sell them, right? So it's not really big in our market because ADUs are big in our market, right? Tiny ADU. So an ADU is an accessory dwelling unit. We went over the last ones is in California. They just changed it in Los Angeles County. that you can take a single family residence, right? That's on like a 7,000 square foot lot, all the way down to 2,000 square feet. And you can have 3 units per house. So what people are doing, and I'm not keen to this right now just because I'm doing a lot of the sales, but what our next investment is they're buying infill lots and they're making them 3 units. So they take a normal unit, they put like a granny flat on it, right? So like you have 2 entrances, like the next gens, and then they're doing an ADU. So you're basically building a tiny house in the back, right? Cool. So you have to get the permits. And to give you guys an example, the partner that I had that's doing this, $675 all in, 3 units, giving you $5 to $6 grand a month. And so I'm letting him build his first ones. Takes about a year to build them. But think about that, $5,000 to $6,000 on 675. That's an insane return, right? So even if that goes up, if that market stays strong, that's where I think the tiny home comes into it. However, I watched a guy who I was actually another salesperson with, and he got into building tiny homes. I forgot what his company's. It's like a Tiny Home USA or something. But he actually built them, put them on trailers, and then he specs them all out and sells them for like 50, 60 grand, right? So he got really good at it, has warehouses, stuff like that. What I would do is plug into it. And what I saw the most recently thing, just because I'm so on this train, is the Amazon started selling tiny houses. So start looking in and seeing if that's that niche. I think as we get through, maybe another, 12 sessions or something, we're going to jump into some of the niches. Cool. And I think what we're going to do is bring on some people that do some tiny homes, but we'll also, Calvin and I have learned from the ground up. We're going to learn some of those ins and outs and share with you guys. And then, yes, shipping container homes. I've actually seen the same investor partner that I had for years. He did shipping container homes. And I think that's really cool. I think those are for more areas, personally speaking, just because of how long I've done real estate, is your underdeveloped areas. Is your underdeveloped areas where they might not have infrastructure of master plan developments, or they're just crazy spec areas like LA, and they're not really container homes. They're just using that as a foundation because they're ultra modern, really high end, but you're talking about builders that know their way around development and are super sophisticated. Yeah, and then let's say New Jersey zoning. Yeah, so that's where you got to know. I would say know your local market and your local area, because just like Airbnbs got super hot, they weren't really hot in our area, local areas. They were in our niche areas like Palm Springs and things like that. Yeah. Yep. And so what happens is Anaheim, as an example, shuts off Airbnb because it hurts the hotel industry. Bam, you can't do it anymore.
Oh, wow. Just like that.
Just like that. So Big Bear's doing the same thing. So Big Bear's seen a tremendous drop. So I have a second home on Lake Havasu, right? If anybody watches like anything we do, I've had my home on Lake Havasu for 10, 15 years, right? More than doubled my homes in Lake Havasu. I know some of the best developers. I know the top teams like me, Eric Adalier's crew out of there, just amazing developers. And I watch them do great things. Their Airbnb market, second most hit in the country, more than 50% down in its market. And all the people I knew have sold their homes out there. They probably really didn't get hurt because the real estate market in Havasu has been super strong. But their Airbnb market, how long did they sit on their payments and not rent them out? I saw that kind of stuff coming a while ago. And so I didn't really get into some of that. But some of them, where there's someone with pain, there's someone with opportunity. So just remember that. Airbnb is not bad. It could still be good and it will still come back. But you guys are in JIFU. Why would you Airbnb? In my opinion, like you can go to like hotels, you can go to all kinds of fun stuff that I would be doing that for years before I went to an Airbnb. That's just me personally. Like I don't want to have to cook my own food, or when my wife cooks it, but still a good investment market. So with that, Calvin, take us away for the last few minutes here.
Awesome. So, like I said, the most important part is that, we promote these events with every educator every single week. Obviously, you find the things that you really can get passionate about, you can get behind. Obviously, stuff like real estate, e-commerce, and growing your wealth. Those are 3 of the 5 different topics that we have here at JIFU Live. And right now, you're just getting a taste of JIFU Live. We're getting this for free right now. Right? Like I said, this will be a paid weekly subscription. JIFU Live will be a service that will be offered to everybody, but the more you tune in right now, the more value you see you're getting from it. You know, the price of your subscription will feel like nothing, but what you gain from jumping on here with JT, from Manny, from, you know, Christiana, from anybody every single week, what you gain is knowledge. So that way you can turn that into wealth for yourself, you know, and that's really what it's about. Knowledge is power. I didn't get to where I am just because I started my own thing. I already took things that were in existence. Okay. I found people that were successful. And then I just, I became a student and a sponge, absorbed all the information. And more importantly, I took action. So real estate, I want to surround myself as much as I can with JT, because I know I'm going to hit this thing out of the park with JIFU. I know a lot of income is going to come in, and I want to be able to park it somewhere. I want to be able to place it somewhere and create true legacy wealth for my family. And I know that that's only really created through real estate. Okay. And you don't have to be a multimillionaire to get involved in real estate to do what JT's talking about. He's giving everyone an opportunity to get a piece of this. And that's what we want to do. We want JIFU to be a company that not only is a place where you can promote travel and vacationing, you know, not only a place where we're going to have great products that are going to make us look young and feel young, but a place that people can really learn, get information, empower themselves with it, and create true financial freedom. Not with the income opportunity at JIFU, but with the things that we learn through being educated. And so I appreciate everybody who jumped on here today. Again, thanks JT for letting me jump on. I know I got another Zoom after this one with a huge team that wants to join in Latin America. But again, this was the most value I got all day. So just like you guys are grateful for jumping on today, so I am. So thanks, JT.
Oh yeah, appreciate
do
you,
this,
man.
bro.